All right, so you're looking to source outdoor products for the European market.
Mm.
A lot of people are trying to get this right,
Mm-hmm.
and luckily we've got an expert guide for this deep dive.
Yeah.
Catrina,
Mm-hmm.
CEO of Hongmao Garden.
Right.
She's been in this industry for 20 years
Wow.
and wrote a fantastic article about navigating European product certifications.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, she doesn't sugarcoat things.
No.
She actually opens with a story
Oh,
about a UK retailer
interesting.
who completely refused to even consider suppliers
Oh, wow.
who weren't BSCI certified.
It's a perfect example of how seriously European buyers take these certifications.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just a box to tick.
All right.
It's a statement about your commitment to quality,
Mm-hmm.
ethical practices, and sustainability.
That story really sets the stage because
Yeah.
it makes you realize that getting these certifications wrong
Yeah.
can have serious consequences.
Absolutely.
Like imagine losing out on a huge deal
Oh, yeah.
just because you didn't have the right paperwork.
Yeah. You risk facing shipment delays at customs,
Oh,
damage to your brand's reputation,
all right.
and ultimately missed business opportunities.
Yeah.
So let's break down these crucial certifications,
Okay.
starting with the one Catrina mentioned, BSCI, the Business Social Compliance Initiative.
Okay, so BSCI,
Yes.
to be honest, I've heard the name,
Yeah.
but I'm a little fuzzy on the details.
Okay.
What exactly does it entail?
Sure.
And why should a buyer care?
So BSCI is all about ensuring ethical labor practices throughout your supply chain.
Okay.
We're talking fair wages,
Yeah.
safe working environments, and no child labor.
Okay.
It's essentially a way to demonstrate that you're sourcing products responsibly
Right.
and treating workers fairly.
That makes sense, especially considering the growing consumer awareness around ethical sourcing.
Exactly.
You know, European consumers are particularly sensitive to these issues.
They want to know that the products they're buying are made with respect for workers' rights
Right.
and environmental responsibility. A BSCI certification can be a powerful signal to those consumers that you align with those values.
So it's not just about meeting legal requirements.
Right.
It's about building trust with your customers
Absolutely.
and enhancing your brand image.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Catrina also mentioned another certification in her article,
Okay.
TUV ISO9001.
Yes.
That one sounds a little more technical.
It is.
Okay.
While BSCI focuses on the social aspects of your supply chain, ISO 9001 is all about quality management.
Okay.
It ensures that your supplier has standardized processes in place to deliver consistent quality
Okay.
and minimize product defects.
I imagine that's incredibly valuable for buyers.
You're absolutely right.
Nobody wants to deal with inconsistent quality or a ton of returns.
ISO 9001 helps minimize those risks by focusing on continuous improvement and reducing those frustrating production hiccups.
Yeah.
Catrina actually shared how implementing ISO 9001 was a game changer for Hongmao Garden.
Oh, really? How so?
It helps them refine their workflows and improve their delivery times,
Oh.
which was especially crucial during peak seasons.
Oh, yeah.
They were able to consistently meet their deadlines and ensure their products were up to par.
Okay.
That kind of reliability builds a strong foundation for any buyer-supplier relationship.
It's like having a partner you can truly rely on.
Right.
Someone who's proactive about quality control and committed to delivering on their promises.
Absolutely.
So we've covered ethical sourcing with BSCI
Yeah.
and quality management with ISO 9001.
Mm-hmm.
What else should we be thinking about when sourcing for Europe?
Let's move on to REACH.
Right.
Registration, evaluation,
no.
authorization, and restriction of chemicals.
Great.
This one is all about ensuring the safe use of chemicals in manufacturing processes.
Okay, so REACH is about protecting human health and the environment from potentially harmful chemicals.
Right.
But how does that actually work in practice?
Okay.
I mean, how do you know if a product complies with REACH regulations?
REACH requires manufacturers to provide detailed information about the chemicals used in their products. It's about transparency and ensuring that those chemicals are being used safely and responsibly.
Okay.
Failure to comply can lead to products being held at customs,
Oh, wow.
hefty fines, and even legal action.
Yeah.
Catrina actually shared a rather gripping anecdote about a shipment of garden furniture that got stuck at a European port
Yeah.
because of questionable chemicals used in the finishing process.
Oh, wow. That sounds like a logistical nightmare.
Exactly.
And a PR disaster waiting to happen.
It highlights the importance of choosing suppliers who are not only REACH compliant,
Right.
but also proactive about ensuring their entire supply chain is aligned with those regulations.
Yeah.
It's about protecting your brand and avoiding potentially costly setbacks.
This is incredibly valuable information.
Yeah.
And we've only just scratched the surface of these certifications. Let's take a pause here so you can absorb all of this
Okay.
and come back ready to hear about even more.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we're back,
Yes.
and I'm ready to keep unpacking these certifications.
Okay.
It's amazing how much we've already learned, and we're not even finished yet.
It really highlights the complexity of sourcing for the European market.
Right.
But like we said earlier, knowledge is power.
Yeah.
Understanding these certifications can be a real game changer for buyers.
Okay, so we've covered BSCI, ISO 9001,
Right.
and a RECH.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see how these certifications are like building blocks for success in the EU.
Exactly.
But Catrina also mentioned something called BSCI B-Level in her article.
Yes.
What's that all about?
So BSCI B-Level is essentially a step up from regular BSCI.
Okay.
It signifies that a supplier is exceeding expectations in terms of social compliance.
Okay.
They're not just meeting the minimum requirements,
Right.
they're actively pursuing continuous improvement and going above and beyond to ensure ethical practices.
So if BSCI is like getting a passing grade,
Yeah.
then BSCI B-Level is like graduating with honors.
That's a great analogy. It really demonstrates a commitment to social responsibility
Yeah.
and can be a strong selling point for buyers who are looking for partners who share those values.
I imagine it's becoming increasingly important for brands to showcase their commitment to ethical sourcing,
Absolutely.
especially in a market like Europe where consumers are so discerning.
Having a supplier with BSCI D-level certification shows that you're not just ticking boxes, but genuinely investing in responsible sourcing practices.
Now I'm curious,
Yeah.
is there a similar next level certification for the environmental side of things?
Yeah.
We talked about RECH,
Mm-hmm.
which ensures safe chemical usage.
Right.
But what about a supplier's overall environmental impact?
That's where the EIA
Okay.
Environmental Impact Assessment comes into play.
Got it.
An EIA evaluates a factory's impact on the environment.
Okay.
It's looking at factors like emissions,
Right.
waste management,
Mm-hmm.
and resource consumption.
Okay.
It's about promoting sustainable practices and minimizing the ecological footprint.
That makes perfect sense, especially for outdoor products.
Yes.
I mean, if you're selling garden furniture
Yeah.
or hiking gear,
Right.
it makes sense to align yourself with suppliers who are actively trying to reduce their environmental impact.
Precisely. It's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Yeah.
Consumers are becoming increasingly savvy, and they want to support brands that are authentically committed to sustainability.
And Catrina actually provided a great example of this in her article.
Oh, yeah.
She mentioned how Hongmao Garden optimized their powder coating lines
Okay.
to minimize waste and reduce their carbon footprint.
It's a perfect illustration of how these certifications can drive innovation and lead to more sustainable practices.
Yeah.
And often these efforts not only benefit the environment,
Right.
but also result in cost savings for the supplier,
Okay.
which can be passed on to the buyer.
So it's a win-win for everyone.
Exactly.
The environment, the supplier, and the buyer.
Yep.
Okay. So we've now covered all 5 certifications that Catrina highlighted in her article.
Okay.
BSCI ISO9001, REACH, BSCI B-Level, and EIA.
Right.
I have to say, I'm feeling a lot more confident about navigating this landscape now.
That's great to hear. But remember, this is just the starting point.
Oh,
Actually implementing these certifications and ensuring their effectiveness requires a deeper understanding of the processes and a commitment to ongoing collaboration with your supplier.
Right. It's not just about having the certificate on the wall.
Exactly.
It's about what's happening on the ground
Yes.
in the factories every single day.
Exactly. Let's shift gears a bit and talk about how to actually put this knowledge into practice.
Okay.
Imagine you're a buyer looking to source a new line of outdoor lighting for the European market.
Okay.
What are your first steps?
Well, based on what we've discussed, my first priority would be to confirm that any potential supplier holds those key certifications we've been talking about.
Okay.
That's BSCI, ISO 9000 surety, RECH,
Yep.
ideally BSCI B-Level,
Yes.
and EIA.
That's a great starting point.
Okay.
Those certifications demonstrate a baseline commitment
Yeah.
to responsible and quality-focused manufacturing,
Right.
but it shouldn't stop there.
Okay.
You want to go beyond simply checking boxes.
So what else should I be doing?
Okay.
I mean, it's one thing to see a certificate,
Right.
But how can I be sure that it's not just a piece of paper?
Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Okay.
Request audit reports.
Right.
Dive into the details of their implementation processes and ask about their efforts to maintain those standards.
So it's about having a conversation.
Exactly.
Really understanding their commitment to these principles.
You're looking for transparency,
Yeah.
openness,
Yeah.
and a willingness to engage in a dialogue about these issues.
I imagine this is where building a strong relationship with your supplier becomes crucial.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's about moving beyond a transactional relationship and establishing a partnership based on trust, shared values, and a commitment to continuous improvement.
Okay, so I'm checking for certifications,
Yes.
asking tough questions, and building relationships.
Right.
Any other potential pitfalls I should be aware of?
One common mistake is getting too focused on price
Oh.
and overlooking the long-term costs associated with non-compliant suppliers.
So that amazing deal might end up costing you more in the long run if you run into problems with customs or face legal challenges down the line.
Precisely. It's crucial to factor in those potential risks
Right.
and weigh them against any perceived cost savings.
Yeah.
Remember, investing in certified suppliers is an investment in your brand's reputation and long-term success.
This is incredibly insightful.
Good.
It feels like we're peeling back the layers of complexity
Yeah.
and getting to the core of what it takes to source responsibly and effectively for the European market.
We're getting there, but before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, let's take a moment to consider the future of these certifications.
Right.
What trends are you seeing emerge?
Yeah.
And how might these certifications evolve in the coming years?
That's a great question, and one that's probably on the minds of many listeners.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about the future of these certifications?
Oh, one clear trend is the increasing demand for transparency
Okay.
and traceability throughout the supply chain.
Mm-hmm.
Consumers want to know the full story behind the products they're buying,
Right.
from the origin of the materials to the working conditions in the factories.
That makes sense. Consumers are becoming more conscious
Exactly.
and informed, and they're holding brands accountable for their sourcing practices.
And this demand for transparency is driving innovation in certification and verification processes.
Okay.
We're seeing the emergence of technologies like blockchain that can help track products and materials from source to shelf,
Wow.
providing greater visibility and accountability.
So it's no longer enough to simply say you're compliant. You need to be able to prove it with verifiable data.
That's right. And this increased transparency is beneficial not only for consumers,
Mhm.
but also for businesses.
Right.
It can help streamline operations,
Okay.
reduce risks,
Yeah.
and enhance brand reputation.
It sounds like the future of these certifications is moving towards greater transparency,
Yes.
data-driven verification,
Mm-hmm.
and a more holistic approach to sustainability.
Precisely. And it's an exciting time to be a part of this evolution.
Yeah.
As consumers continue to demand more from the brands they support,
Right.
we can expect to see even more innovative solutions emerge in the realm of ethical and sustainable sourcing.
This has been a fascinating exploration of European certifications.
Good.
I'm already thinking about how to apply these insights to my own sourcing practices.
Great.
But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's take a pause here and come back to wrap up this deep dive with some final thoughts.
Sounds good.
All right, we're back,
Yes, we are.
ready to wrap up this deep dive into navigating European product certifications. I have to say I'm feeling a lot more equipped to tackle this landscape now.
That's fantastic to hear. Remember, knowledge is your most valuable tool when sourcing for any market,
Right.
especially one as nuanced as Europe.
You know, one thing that really struck me throughout this conversation is how these certifications aren't just about compliance.
Yeah.
It feels like they're pushing the industry towards a more responsible and sustainable future.
You've hit the nail on the head. When companies are challenged to meet higher standards, it often sparks innovation. They're forced to rethink their processes, find creative solutions, and ultimately raise the bar for the entire industry.
Catrina's story about Hongmao Garden optimizing their powder coating lines is a perfect example of that.
Right.
They went above and beyond to reduce waste and minimize their environmental impact.
And that's the beauty of these certifications. They can act as catalysts for positive change,
Yeah.
leading to better practices, more efficient operations, and ultimately a more sustainable industry.
So it's not just about checking boxes. It's about driving progress and creating a ripple effect to positive impact throughout the supply chain.
Exactly. And as consumer awareness continues to grow, we can expect to see even more innovation and progress in this space.
Now, before we wrap up this deep dive completely, I want to make sure our listeners walk away with the key takeaways. What are the most important points you'd want them to remember?
First and foremost, European certifications are not just bureaucratic hurdles.
Right.
They represent a commitment to quality, ethics, and sustainability, which are increasingly important to European consumers.
Right. It's not just about meeting regulations. It's about aligning yourself with suppliers who share your values and are committed to those higher standards.
Secondly, don't be afraid to ask questions and thoroughly vet your potential suppliers. Go beyond the certificates themselves and gain a deep understanding of their processes and commitment to these principles.
It's about building trust and establishing a strong collaborative relationship with your suppliers, not just treating them as transactional vendors.
Finally, remember that this is a dynamic landscape. Stay informed about evolving trends, emerging technologies, and new certification standards.
Okay.
The journey towards responsible sourcing is continuous, and there's always more to learn.
Well said. I think we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, and I feel much more confident about navigating the world of European product certifications. A huge thank you to Catrina for sharing her expertise through her insightful article.
Absolutely.
It's been an invaluable resource for us today.
And remember, if you're ready to dive deeper, Catrina's full article provides even more details and practical advice.
We'll include a link to her article in the show notes for anyone who wants to learn more. And of course, if you're looking for a reliable certified supplier of outdoor products, Catrina and Hongmao Garden would be an excellent place to start.
Couldn't agree more.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep pushing for a more responsible and sustainable future.